Brothers and sisters, for the time that's ours to share together this Lord's Day with your prayers and the Holy Spirit's help, I'd like to preach from the title, Between a Rock and a Hard Place. Have you ever been between a rock and a hard place? Have you ever felt like you only had two options and neither one of them was good? Have you ever been a place in your life where you felt like you didn't know what was going on, what you were doing, where you were going, who you were, or how you were going to pay for it? And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, being between a rock and a hard place is a familiar place in a shared human experience.
Wow.
If you've never found yourself in that sort of place, hold on, keep living. It's coming. And we, your church family, are going to pray for you. But for those of us who have been between a rock and a hard place, and for those of us who may currently find ourselves between a rock and a hard place, we find this morning that we are in good company. Here in Genesis chapter 28, we find a great father in the faith by the name of Jacob, between a rock and a hard place. This passage we explore sermonically today begins there in verse 10 by letting us know that Jacob has left Beersheba. He is on his way to Haran. Jacob is taking this journey under some hard circumstances. When you read your Bible, you will discover that just one chapter earlier, Jacob has left home, not because he's in search of greener pastures, but because he has yet again tricked his twin brother, deceiving him this time out of his blessing from his father and tricking him before out of his birthright. And Jacob's brother Esau wasn't having it. He had enough of his twin brother's schemes, and now he was plotting to kill him. Their parents, Rebekah and Isaac, find out about Esau's malevolent plans, and Rebekah devises a plan of her own to save her baby's life. She convinces her husband, Jacob's father, to send him away by sending Jacob to her brother in Haran so that he could find a wife there. So Jacob, with now both the birthright and the blessing, packs up quickly and gets out of Dodge, leaving Beersheba, his home, the only place he's ever known, to go 400 miles away on foot to Haran, somewhere he's never been, all because he's tricked his brother out of his birthright and blessing. His brother now wants to kill him. I think it is safe to say this morning that Jacob was in between a rock and a hard place. And no sooner than he had made it out of Beersheba, night fell around him, and in verse 11 the text records that Jacob finds himself in, quote, a certain place. But at this point in Jacob's journey, this certain place was anything but certain for him. As the darkness fell, Jacob found himself outside in the desert, alone, just him with his birthright and his blessing, which I'm sure at this point felt more to him like banality and a burden. Jacob found himself in between home and Haran. Found himself in between his less than stellar past, full of conflict and trickery, and his uncertain future. Found himself in between a rock and a hard place. That is where some of us may find ourselves this morning. For truth be told, most of us are more like Jacob than we would like to admit. I know we're in church early on Sunday morning now, but you know, none of us have a squeaky clean path. We've all done a little tricking like Jacob. We've all done some messed up things. We've all got some mess in us. We haven't always had it all together. We've had or we are experiencing our own places of darkness and difficulty. And like Jacob, we can find ourselves between a rock and a hard place, not knowing what's next, not knowing what lies ahead, not knowing what we're going to. What a place to be in. That's where 32 million people are. Between a rock and a hard place. Between health and sickness. Between literal life and death. All because politicians want to keep playing with folks' health care. That's where Tennessee inmates are, as a judge has given offenders two options: sterilization or reduced sentence time. Having to choose which part of their body that they want free. That's where Nuri Chavaria is, between the sanctuary and threats of deportation. She has taken sanctuary here in New Haven over at Iglesia de Dios Pentecostal Church. So she can stay here with her 4 children despite her deportation order scheduled for last Thursday. That's where our new Hallville neighborhood is, between a rock and a hard place, as we are in an election year. Politicians all of a sudden show up and keep talking about how we have safer streets. But 2 youth have been shot in the last 7 days. 1 dying last Thursday, and 1 shot yesterday. And that's the bad news. But the good news is that while this place, between the rock and the hard place, is a difficult place, while it is a dark place, while it is an uncertain place, one thing is for sure. God shows up between the rock and the hard place. But God specializes in meeting us in unexpected places, in unexpected ways, to do some unexpected things in our lives. So the question becomes this Sunday morning: what do we do when we find ourselves like Jacob in between a rock and a hard place? Because we will inevitably find ourselves there. We would do well to take the example of Jacob, and if we are to live fully in between the rock and the hard places of our lives, we must first receive the promise. The text records that as Jacob found himself in, quote, a certain place, that he took one of the stones. He put it under his head. He laid down and he went to sleep. And when Jacob fell asleep, he started dreaming, but it wasn't your typical dream. Jacob dreamed about a ladder. And on that ladder were angels ascending to and descending from heaven. The Bible says that as heaven was opened before him, angels coming and going, that the Lord came and stood beside him and said there to Jacob, beginning in verse 13, that I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your offspring. And your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and your offspring. So Jacob, know that I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. You see, Jacob had a promise from the Lord. But let's be clear here. Jacob didn't deserve it. After all all, Jacob truly lived up to what his name means. He was a conniver. He was a cheater. He was a trickster and deceiver. Everything he had gotten up until this point was because of it. So while Jacob desired the promise, he did not deserve it. But Jacob was not entirely bad. While he did some things people wouldn't necessarily agree with, at base, you have to admit that he just wanted better for himself. And though he didn't deserve it, he needed it, and God gave it to him. God confirmed the promise that he gave to his grandfather and passed down to his father Isaac, who, what we learned last week, prayed for 20 years for this child Jacob and his twin brother Esau to be born. Despite all that Jacob had done, the Lord still gave him a promise. He would give him the land on which he lay, that he would make his offspring numerous like the dust of the earth, that he would be with him every step of the way. And that's a beautiful thing for us, my friends. Because like Jacob, we don't deserve God's promise. But the Lord gives it to us anyhow. That is the story of the people of God throughout time. That even in the midst of our ignorance and evil, there is still the possibility of a saving revelation. Despite what's happened, despite what we've done, God still makes promises to us. God still makes something beautiful out of our lives. God still chooses to bless us in spite of us. Again, church, let's be clear. Just because God makes us a promise does not mean that God frees us from pain. Oh, Jacob still had to go through some things. He still faced some of the consequences for the stuff that he did. He was still, and he had to still journey through that rock and a hard place. What made the difference was that Jacob had a promise from the Lord. That the Lord would keep him wherever he went, and that the Lord would not leave him until he had done what he promised him. Like Jacob, when we come to these moments in our lives, when we are between a rock and a hard place, we must not only remember God's promise, we must secondly recognize God's presence. The text records there in verse 16 that when Jacob woke up from his dream and came to his senses, that he said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." Church, it is often in the most unexpected places of our lives where God shows up. It's in those places of our hurt. It's in those places of our uncertainty. It's in those places where we are most vulnerable, where we are most aware of our mistakes, where we are confronted with the fragility of our future. It's in those places where God shows up. And if we're not careful, we'll miss Him. If we're not careful, we'll just stay asleep and keep having dreams without Him. If we're not careful, we'll just keep lying there and we'll be rested but restless and apathetic. We're not careful, we'll just stay there stuck between where God is calling us from and where God is calling us to. So we've got to recognize God's presence when it comes. Anytime God's presence shows up in our lives, it's got to change us. Anytime God's presence shows up in our lives, it's got to touch us. Anytime God's presence shows up in our lives, it's got to transform us and take us deeper into our relationship with the one true and living God. That's what happened for Jacob. That's what must happen for us too. This was the first time it's recorded in Scripture that Jacob met God for himself. And like Jacob, we've got to meet God for our own sakes in the critical moments of our lives. See, it wasn't enough that God was the God of his grandfather Abraham. It wasn't enough that God was the God of his father Isaac. God also had to be the God of Jacob. And it's not enough for God just to be the God of your grandmother. It's not enough for God just to be the God of your mother. God has to be your God too. You've got to encounter the Lord for yourself. You've got to know him for yourself. You can't make it out from between your rock and your hard place on somebody else's relationship with God. You can't make it out on somebody else's faith. You can't make it out on somebody else's story and experience. But you have to recognize God's presence in your life for yourself. And you and the Lord have to work that thing out together. While you may feel uncertain about your future, one thing is for certain. That God is going to show up. And when God shows up, you must not only receive the promise, you must not only recognize God's presence, you must thirdly and finally rename the place. The text says there in verse 18 that Jacob rose early in the morning. He took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel. You see, once Jacob received the promise, when he recognized God's presence, Jacob had to commemorate and consecrate that experience for himself. So in between his rock and his hard place, Jacob took up the stone that he had used for a pillar. He set it up. And he poured oil. And he named that place Bethel, meaning house of God. And it was there, in that space between Jacob's rock and hard place, that became for him the house of God. It was the unexpected place that became the house of God. It was the place of uncertainty that became the house of God. It was the place between Jacob's imperfect past and his uncertain future that became the house of God. And it's those liminal spaces in our lives, it's in between the rock and the hard place that becomes the house of God for us. It's in our own places of trouble. It's in our own places of trial. It's in our own places of temptation that become the house of God for us. It's in that place. We don't have it all together. It's in that place where we're all alone. It's in that place where we least expect to find God. That place becomes the house of God. And that's good news this morning, church. That God shows up in unexpected places. In what we would consider the most mundane, most inopportune moments of our lives, God shows up between our rock and hard place and dwells there. And God didn't do it just for Jacob. God has proven time and again throughout Scripture that He shows up between a rock and a hard place. God showed up for Moses between the burning bush and Pharaoh. God showed up for Gideon between the 300 and a battle. God showed up for Ruth between being a widow and bearing her kinsman redeemer. God showed up for Esther between an unjust decree and a genocide. God showed up for Daniel between Darius and the lion's den. God showed up for the 3 Hebrew boys between Nebuchadnezzar and the fiery furnace. God showed up for Paul between the Philippian jailer and the jail cell. And the good news is, church, that God still shows up between the rock and the heart. And when He does, we've got to rename that place. We've got to mark that place and tell the world what the Lord has done for us. And if you don't know what to name that place, let me remind you of your ABCs. And maybe you can come up with some names for yourself. Remember, A, that God is able. B, that God is beneficent. C, that God is compassionate. D, that God is a deliverer. E, that God is everlasting. F, that God is faithful. G, that God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. H, God is hope. God is immortal. J, God is judge. K, God is King of kings. L, God is the Lord of lords. M, God is master of my soul. N, God has never left me alone. O, God is omnipotent. P, God has all power. Q, God quiets my storms. R, God regulates my mind. S, God saves me. T, God is trustworthy. U, God is unparalleled. V, God was a victory on Calvary. But W, God won bright early Sunday morning. X, God is xenophilic. He draws all men to Himself. God's wide. God's yoke is easy, and His burden is light. And Z, God will zero in between your rock and hard place. He'll pick you up, turn your life around, place your feet on higher ground. And I wish I had a witness this morning that God shows up between your rock and your hard place. I wish I had one witness this morning who could say that I've had many tears and sorrows. I've had questions about tomorrow.